Welcome back, everybody, to an SF Live breaking news special. My name is Kai Hoffmann. I'm the junior mining guy on Twitter and the CEO of the Soar Financial Group. We're back with a very special breaking news. And Bunker Hill put out a pre-feasibility study for their project in Kellogg, Idaho. And I think the numbers look quite compelling. And we got CEO Sam Ash here on the line with us to discuss those numbers and ask him some questions about the PFS, because it looks a bit different than the PEA. So I think we should dive a little deeper here and run through some of the numbers just to make sense of them, because I personally think the PFS is great. The project is funded already for the most part. So I think this is just a checkbox that the company's ticking off. But personally, I'm quite excited to see it forward. Before I bring on Sam, be reminded to follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, hit that like and subscribe button to get more of these breaking news specials, either straight into your inbox or as a push notification on your phone screen or on your computer screen as well. And one last reminder, DEUTSCHE GOLDMESSE is around the corner. Again, we're only a few short weeks away, November 18th and 19th in Frankfurt. Make sure to sign up for it. It is free to attend. It is in person. We'll have 35 phenomenal companies, 6 amazing keynote speakers from the industry or within the industry as well. Ronny Stöfele, Tavi Costa, Whittle Middlecoop, Joe Mazumdar, just to name a couple, and of course, you as well. So thank you so much. And Sam, it's great to welcome you on the program. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Kai. It's a really exciting day for us here at Bunker Hill.
Absolutely. I'm amazed you're smiling and you're all chipper because you were just on an 11-hour flight, because you're not too far away from me right now. You are in Frankfurt. So welcome to Germany.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, it's great to have you, and we'll be chatting more over the next few days, obviously discussing the PFS with investors here in Germany. But let's run through the numbers and give us the key highlights, please.
Absolutely. Look, I think the absolutely key takeaway that I'd like to get across with Bunker Hill is really that the PFS confirms the quite robust economics, the high internal rate of return at 36%, 2-year payback, and with continuing to have a very modest capex, 55 million capex, for an initial return of at an NPV of 52. I think that is the other key point that's very important to understand, is the dynamics around the difference between the PEA and the PFS. And that is that in the pre-feasibility, we're only able to use the measured and indicated resource to drive to an economic outcome. That doesn't mean that the rest of the resource isn't there. It just means that that's what's going to be coming down the line as we get into the mine and begin the process of resource conversion.
No, absolutely. You must be super confident being able to cut that 6 years off the mine life from the PA versus the PFS, but it's in the ground. It's just not in that higher category. But what do you need to do to sort of upgrade it, and when do you think you'll upgrade it, and when do you think you'll need?
Well, I think that we have a robust 5-year mine plan there, and I would also say, in addition to that, one of the things that you are seeing in this pre-feasibility as opposed to the PEA is an increase of throughput from 1,500 tons a day to 1,800 tons a day. But to answer your question directly, as we get into the resource and we finish up our first development drive, which is underway right now, that will give us the access that we need to mobilize and put the drilling in to begin that resource conversion process. And really what it is, it's a matter of putting specific targeted individual holes into the right place. And we expect to see a significant return and upgrade into the measured and indicated category, which will then ultimately have a direct line of sight into an extension of the mine life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just made or announced over the summer as well a new discovery that you will probably be drilling out then. Is that correct?
That's absolutely on the docket for follow-up and drilling. That's more of an exploration target, but we're going to be looking to be able to do both.
No, fantastic. There was quite a bit of upside obviously left on the table, because I know investors will compare apples and oranges here as well, like the PEA versus the PFS, which are, I think, vastly different in scope. But it makes sense moving forward. And you bought the Tech Ponderay mill as well. How much did that factor into the numbers?
Oh, that factors in a number of ways. Number one, obviously, the ability to keep that capex number as modest as it is That's certainly important. Another aspect that is often overlooked is the timing of this project. You're looking at a company that is going through, the full exploration and development phase in a 3-year period, which is very unprecedented. And one of the things that enables us to do that is the timeline with which we were able to acquire that processing plant. So the timing was very, very critical. In addition, the world is in a very different place than it was a couple of years ago from an inflation standpoint, and locking down that mill early gave us a lot of certainty and a lot of insulation against the inflationary pressures that the world is seeing right now.
Absolutely. And what are some of the next steps now? You put out a PFS. Like, how far away are we from official construction decision? I'm guessing buying the Pond Array mill was sort of a giveaway, meaning it's like, yeah, we're most likely going ahead, spending over $2 million, I think it was, just to buy that facility and to buying the equipment from Tech. So, what are the next steps here?
Well, when you look at our plans around financing, I think that's a pretty big key. We are now, with the culmination of the technical work, in a position to finalize and bring in the remainder of the financing from Sprott Royalty and Streaming, which is the $37 million stream. At that point, that is really when when we have crossed the Rubicon, so to speak, from a construction decision point.
Yeah, absolutely. What is timeline of construction now? It says 16 months to commercial production. So when is first pour, and how much time are you allowing from, let's say, turning on the mill to commercial production?
Absolutely. Our construction timeline has us going into commissioning in the mill in late October of next year, ramping up through December, January, and being at full production in Q1 of 2024.
I see. That's a rapid timeline. The mill has already, or parts of the mill for the Pond Array mill have arrived on site. I think that's been completed. What are the next construction steps now as well? Or are you waiting till the fall, till the spring? Like, what are some of the next development milestones?
Absolutely. What we're going to be working on between now and the end of the year is really the site preparation for the location of that mill. So we're going to be working on getting foundations set going into the winter months, so we can come out in the new year as spring hits and hit construction in full stride. And I would say, Kai, as well, that we're pretty proud of the team that we've had working on the relocation of the Pond Array mill. That's complete, and that's a big first step for us. Ahead of schedule, under budget, and a strong indication gave us a real indication of some of the local contracting groups that we want to build a relationship with to execute going forward.
How much fun was it preparing a PFS in the current environment with massive volatility? And I'm hearing from other CEOs that some contractors offered quotes that were valid for 24 hours. It was a like do or die kind of moments with those quotes. How much fun was it preparing a document like that?
Oh, well, it's always a challenge, but what we have really going for us is the robustness of the project. We when we joined this team and took on this project, a part of the criteria for us was to identify a project that could weather the full commodity cycle. Unfortunately, we're in a bit of a dip in that commodity cycle right now, but I think it just speaks to the robustness of the project that that it can come through troubled waters from a global economy standpoint.
Yeah, definitely. And as the CEO of a company that is going into production, do you see inflation leveling off at all? Like, I know it's a bit of a macro question, but you've been getting in lots of quotes. So I'm curious to see or to hear from you, like what the contractors are thinking. How far ahead are they planning? And I don't know, even hedging comes to mind when it comes to that. But how much does that play a factor when putting a PFS together?
Well, look, I think we are seeing inflation ebbing. Particularly the strong response from the Federal Reserve, I think is helpful. Not sure if people know this, but as of a couple of days ago, I'm not exactly sure what it is today, But there was a period of time about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago where the fuel price in the United States had dropped every single day for over 90 days straight. So we are certainly seeing that, and from my perspective, that inflation is transitory. I take heart the strong response that the U.S. Federal Reserve is taking in response to inflation, and I do think that we're going to move through this period of time. In fact, going full circle and back to some of the metal pricing, I think that right now you're seeing a lot of response to an anticipation of demand destruction. But I think in the metals industry across the board, and certainly for us in zinc, lead, and silver, the real story is the macro story around the supply side. And so I think that after a few tough months here, that we're going to come into production and be well positioned into a strong metal price environment.
Oh, definitely. And timing couldn't be any better because I think everybody's ramping up in the US, securing own supply. And zinc plays a major role in the green economy as well as silver, actually. Let's not forget about silver here as well. Sam, what are some of the next news items we can look forward to from the company?
Look, I think that what you'll see us doing is getting into a regular cycle of construction and project updates. We are now putting out a monthly video update of the progress at site. You can expect to see, in addition to photos, some real-time videos watching the activity that's happening at the mine site as this mine gets built and comes into production.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Sam, I forgot actually a couple of questions to ask. I usually ask the news item is usually the last question that I try to ask you during an interview to sort of put a bow around everything. But as you know, we're at Soar Financial. We're not just cheerleaders. We also critical. We want to know things. I looked at your metals prices. And if you could run me through how that came together, because I noticed it's slightly higher than in the PEA. I'm just trying to understand what sort of the background of your metal price chart is.
Well, absolutely. And we're looking at the long-term metal prices. So we do look to industry guidance that is coming out for quite a large and wide cross section of what the future metals prices projections are, and that coupled with a view that we think that the macroeconomic climate is strong for metals across the board. Certainly was a key driving factor in the decision around those metal prices. And if you remember, when we put the PEA out, metal prices were actually quite a bit lower than where they are right now. And when we took a look and we're having that conversation, doing our research around what metal prices that we need to use and that we should be using, these are the metal prices that we arrived at, looking at a wide range of input sources and data.
No, fantastic. No, appreciate you clarifying that. I'm just curious when I compare the two studies. I just stood out a little bit, so I had to ask. And one last thing, of course, sort of the construction decision, I think in my mind has been made. But how about funding for the project? I know you've secured, and you mentioned the stream from Sprott, but does that secure all funding for the project, and how does it look moving forward?
Yeah, look, the stream is certainly the vast majority of the funding that we're going to be required, that's going to be required to get us into production. And we're looking at a pretty broad-based range of options, surrounding that. We certainly have purposefully not done anything with the offtake just yet, and we still have and are exploring non-equity options as well. So there's certainly more to come in that space, but fair to say that that $37 million stream is absolutely gets us very close to the finish line indeed.
Fantastic. Yeah, I can't believe you're trading at a 20 million market cap. It's mind blowing. So, really blowing my mind. You'll hear that more over the next few days, that it's just unrealistic. So, the market cap in comparison to what you have. So, really excited to be marketing with you in the next 3 days as well. As you know, you're a client of ours, and I always enjoyed chatting with you, Sam. Thanks so much for coming on, and good luck taking all the phone calls later today. So, I know the phone will be ringing here very shortly off the hook, I'm assuming.
Yep, absolutely. We have a full calendar. So thank you very much, Guy. And just to your last comment, couldn't agree with you more around the stock price and where we're at right now. The way I view it is, it is the perfect time to pick up a company who's just now going to accelerate out of the second dip in the Lassonde curve and
Absolutely.
be
I'm a
in
shareholder as
production.
well. So I
Yep.
participated in the recent financing and I bought some in the market a while ago as well. So make me happy. Make me happy, Sam. Thanks for coming on, and I'll see you tomorrow at latest. So good luck marketing today, and we'll chat later. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Kai.
Fantastic. Everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. This was a breaking news special with Bunker Hill Mining and CEO Sam Ash. They put out a very good PFS this morning, and I'm really happy with the numbers coming out. Of course, the mine life is shorter. That means because resource conversion or the conversion of resources from inferred to M&I wasn't given, so we're using that, and that's why the MTB is a bit smaller. Just to explain that a bit, if you were to compare the PEA with the PFS, but the resources are in the ground; they haven't disappeared. You just can't use them in a PFS, so it's all there. The mine has a long history of operating over longer periods of time, and I'm really confident that it won't be an issue. Management, of course, as you've heard just from Sam, is top notch. I'm really happy. Richard Williams at the helm as well. Sam Ash, as you just heard from him as well. I think they're doing the right thing. And as I said before, 20 million market cap, in my opinion, is a joke for a new up and coming zinc and silver producer that is pretty much financed and ready to go into production within the next year and a half. That's ridiculous. So, of course, don't take my word for it. Always do your due diligence and check out other sources. But thanks for staying with us. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to follow us and hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back with more shortly. Thank you so much.